Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrew Reinhardt. I am the APFA National Safety and Security Chair, and we'd like to welcome you to our first APFA Safety and Security Town Hall. Now, I am joined here with members of my team who work the APFA Safety and Security desk. I'm here with some of our safety programs, Cabin ASAP, Cabin LOSA, as well as our safety specialists, subject matter experts for training and cabin air quality. We're very excited. We're so glad you tuned in. There's a lot happening at our department, and instead of just sending out multiple hotlines about what we're doing, we thought, let's do something different. Let's have a town hall. Let's get to have a virtual face-to-face with you, our members. And I know many of you so graciously submitted questions that were on links in our hotlines. Thank you all for doing that. But for those who are tuning in live, you have the ability to ask questions in the comments, and we will do the best we can to get to all the questions in the time that allows. So I want to get started here, and I'm joined with one of my reps, Madison Helm. We're going to 8786. And so this system we created about a year ago, and we did it because we were having issues with the company not keeping APFA safety and security aware of what was going on with our members out while they were on duty during critical incidents, or we just wouldn't be told at all what was going on with some of our members. And it was after the passing of a really good friend of ours, Joshua Ravenel, we determined it's time to do something. We have to find a way to allow our members an easy way to notify us of something that is happening out there on the line, at the layover hotel, or just while you're on duty. And what it does, it notifies us at APFA Safety and Security, but when doing this, we're able to see what's happening to you out there. We're able to then contact the company and ensure that the accountability of support is being provided to you. And after you call this number, the 817-357-8786, one of those 6 prompts, actually there's 7, it doesn't look like it's on the full slide, and you can leave us a voice message about what's going on, but we'll be immediately notified what's happening to you based on the prompt you select. And then after the call is hung up, a text message will be sent to your phone number with either a checklist or detailed information about steps to follow that pertain to your incident. And this is a great way when a stressful situation is going on to say, what do I need to do? You could call this number, select a prompt, you'll be given steps. We also use it to be proactive with you in messaging, and Madison's going to go into that for us.
Yes, I'm Madison Helm. I am a 9-year flight attendant out of Chicago. And yeah, I am a safety and security representative. Okay, sorry, I'm not sure where we left off there. We had some connection issues there, but yes, usually when a critical incident occurs, we will be notified from the company through what they call an event notification, which has a description of what occurred, the NS, and the flight information. We will then relay that information to your base representatives, officers, and EAP, so they can also begin their outreach. Now, some of these events do require further outreach from our department as well. So in those instances, we will pull up the APFA notification system and we will go through the list of what needs to be contacted about. Frequently, we will reach out to you in advance on an assault while on duty, cabin odor fume events, immediate emergency assistance, and sick or injured while on duty. So we will make sure you get the necessary information you need on how to proceed during those events. If you do need further assistance, you can feel free to contact us. This system, you can text it, you can call us. It's available. We are there 24/7. We are monitoring that app. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. You can also send any questions to our department through our email, which is just safety@apfa.org.
Thank you. Again, this is a great resource. It is a way to help yourself quickly when something is happening. You're notifying your union. We're able to ensure that the company is maintaining their end of the accountability and providing you the support, and you're getting necessary information at your fingertips. We cannot preach this system enough. We see its use grow every single day, and we are, a few things that didn't get mentioned is that we see an event come in for extreme turbulence. If there's injury, we'll notify you with that with IOD information. Also, God forbid, inverted slide deployments, the list goes on. And this is a system that we are constantly expanding upon and finding new ways to use it make sure that you are getting the support that you need.
And we even are seeing more and more crew members reach out to us directly before we are even notified from the company. So continue to utilize this resource because it makes sure you get the outreach that you need during these moments.
Exactly. Thank you. So, in speaking of resources, there are a lot of resources and information on our safety webpage alone, and we're going to take you there. So if you were to go to apfa.org and on the top, you see resources. You go to safety and security, and on the left, you see what type of topics we've got there: reporting, policies and procedures, training, information about TSA, etc. But when you open the page, you'll see my face. But then you'll also see some contact information that you might need for daily ops, manager on duty at your base. We have like hotlines. We have like memorandum of understanding for the cabin LOSA program. We have anything you might have about a reporting question. We have links to those reporting portals as well as why you would use this to report. And we can keep going down this page. It's a very long page. And we have information about minimum crew, the EFB, and it goes on and on. And then at the very bottom, which is a piece that I don't know if everybody knows about, but we even have the FARs that pertain to our actual job duties. This information is constantly getting updated. Soon we're going to talk about cabin air quality, and that Department of Safety and Security in particular is always updating that website, part of the website. We'll be adding even more information about the LOSA program here soon. So when you have time, go to the website, check it out. I hope there's some key things to take away from it. And I know we get a lot of frequently asked questions that those questions could be answered from the website. A lot of good resources there. So I'm going to move on to another rep in my department, very important person to us, David Mercado. He also is our subject matter expert and specialist for training and support.
Hey everybody, David Mercado. I'm a DFW-based flight attendant. I've been flying. I'll be starting my 8th year soon. So I just wanted to touch on some stuff regarding training and how safety and security can help you if you're ever in need, and really how we can help ourselves with the resources that are available to us. Where can we find these resources? There's two main sources. It's our website, or rather, I'm sorry, the flight service website, which is, please just take a screenshot of this if you can. Most of us are familiar with this, but if you need those URLs, they're there. So the flight service website, also Comply 365 under the My Publications tab. Most people know this, but some don't, that we can access Comply 365 through a web browser as well. So that's really useful if you just prefer not to use the tablet. And there will be some information that won't be accessible if it's like SSI information, but for training purposes, for those resources, it's going to be in there. So next slide, please. One thing I really want to talk about is the what to expect guide. A lot of people don't know that this thing exists. It is extremely useful. It really will walk you through everything to expect regarding your upcoming CQ, everything from just preparing for your web-based training all the way through the 2 days that you're going to experience that training, how to get to and from training. It's really, really useful. If nothing else, please, please, please download it, print it out, and read pages 7 and 8. Pages 7 and 8 will outline everything you need to know as far as preparing for class, your CQ drills, your EMEs. There's really no mystery once you kind of arm yourself with that information about what you're going to experience at CQ for those upcoming days that you'll be there. So please, 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 again, if nothing else, read pages 7 and 8. A lot of good information, but I do recommend please at least skimming through the entire thing. Again, there's going to be the web-based training outlines, all kinds of stuff in there. So please, please, please check that out. And then the web flight service webpage, lots of resources on there under that training tab, and then also the link to the Learning Hub, which is where we access our WATs. Next slide. As far as rescheduling CQ, this time of year especially, we see a lot of people with unique needs, especially around the holidays, needing to reschedule their CQ class. Maybe you didn't hold the class that you wanted to, and a lot of us are on reserve and things like that. It's just, it's helpful to know how to do this properly. And the big thing is I want you to know that it's okay to reschedule. right? You know, we all have, again, life is not stopping for any of us, right? So please, 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 if you do need to reschedule, you have to use the Forms tab, which is going to be found under Comply 365. Again, you can access that through a web browser or your EFB. With that tab, you will find the training enrollment form. Submit this at least 5 days before your upcoming CQ class. This will help you avoid any potential missed assignments, and just makes it easier for the training support desk to try and get you into your preferred class. You can submit this form and reschedule within that 5-day window. There is just a risk that you could receive a missed assignment, which would eventually be removed once you've finally completed CQ. So you'll have to work with your crew manager for that. The training support desk likely could help you, but they might send you back to your crew manager if you did end up with a missed assignment for rescheduling within that 5-day window. So that's good information there. Please, 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 it's okay to reschedule if you're just not feeling it or whatever your needs are. Make sure that you're taking advantage of that resource. Returning to training from QI status. QI is when our qualifications are inactive, which can happen for a number of reasons. Typically, we see that when people are on extended leaves of absence. And so it's really important. There's a couple of big takeaways from this. The biggest one is the web-based training. We've seen some people end up in a situation where their medical leave or their extended leave of absence is ending, and they have access to their web-based training within months of their upcoming CQ class, and they go on and they complete it, and then about 31 days out from CQ, they get a call from the training support desk who has reloaded their web-based training classes, because when you're in QI status, you cannot complete the web-based training courses more than 31 days out from your scheduled class. And it's in this what to expect packet on pages 20 and 21. Familiarize yourself with that. A ton of information. If you're on an extended leave, medical leave, whatever the reason, find this packet on the website, read pages 20 and 21. It's going to be sort of your Bible in terms of how to navigate that process. And just important contact information. Please, please, please take a screenshot of this. The training support desk, they do run kind of on normal business hours, Monday through Friday. The EAP program is here. They're here to assist you depending on whatever it is you're dealing with. You know, again, like we touched on earlier, we all have unique needs in life, and maybe there's something that's occurring that leads to us needing to reschedule, but also maybe other layers of support as well. So please take advantage of that always. And of course, the safety rep on duty, we do have 24-hour coverage, 365 days a year. And so email us. That's the easiest way to get hold of the rep on duty, because we only ever have one rep on duty. But you can also call the phone line, which is there. So please take a screenshot of this. And just some really brief takeaways. I know it's a lot of information, but remember, when you're attending CQ, you've done all of them. You've read through the what to expect packet. You're ready to go. Even on the day of, we only do this once a year, right? And a lot of us, we get performance anxiety or whatever we're dealing with in life maybe impacts our ability to perform, at our sort of expected level that we kind of hold ourselves to. And so it's okay to remember that you have agency in that building, right? You can advocate for yourself. You can ask for help. If you're not vibing with an instructor at your CQ drill, you can ask them, hey, I need a break, or I need a different instructor. Just make sure that, again, if you need help, ask for it, right? It's okay if it's not CQ isn't going as well as you would expect, because it does for a lot of us. It's performance anxiety, it's stressful. A lot of us don't look forward to this. I hope that we can eventually sort of recontextualize our relationship with CQ, and hopefully someday it does become fun for all of us, but I know it's not going to be the case. So just remember, again, in that building, that's our building. We have agency in that building. We can advocate for ourselves. And if we're having trouble with that, make sure you rely on your fellow flight attendants, ask for help. And of course, the instructors are there to help you as well. And then all of your needs, remember, outside of that stuff, filter them through your crew manager if you're having trouble with anything in life too. That they are here to care for our well-being, right? Not just the other stuff that they like to check off in terms of their tasks.
It's time for them to take accountability.
Absolutely.
It is time. And another thing to reiterate, if you're sick and you have a trip and you were call off sick for that trip, But if you're sick and you're going to CQ and you're still going to CQ, that's a problem. If you wouldn't fly, you shouldn't be coming to CQ. We've seen it too many times where people aren't feeling well or they're injured, they come to CQ and then things don't go well, and it's they just wanted to get it over with. I understand, we all do. We want to get in, get out. But please, if you wouldn't be working the trip, you shouldn't be coming to CQ. Do what David said, less than, you could do it 5 days out at least.
And the fear of that missed assignment shouldn't trump your needs, so again, if you aren't, like, if you're not feeling well, I'd rather you get that missed assignment, because we can always address that, once you've completed CQ, get that missed assignment removed.
Exactly. All right, and we are in the process of creating a team that is going to be focusing mainly on training, so it won't just be David. And when we get that further established, because right now we're all about creating structure here that should outlast us. And so as that begins to grow and form, we will be communicating more and how you can get in contact with that team and how they support you in regard to training.
Speaking of team, quick shout out to Angela Helfrich. She's not in this room, but she has committed so much of her own free time. She's volunteered hours and hours and hours of her time to help our flight attendants through difficult experiences with training and things like that. So Angela Helfrich.
Thank you, Angela. Okay, so we are now moving on to another important topic, cabin air quality, and this will be presented by our cabin air quality subject matter expert, Rhonda Curtright.
Guys, I'm Rhonda Curtright, and I am handling cabin air quality for safety and security. I wanted to talk about our first slide here. One thing that I do is I read your reports every day. I put them into an Excel spreadsheet and we analyze that data. And I'm going to show you a little bit of that today. I also sit in on a task force, and those are a group of individuals that are with engineering, tech ops, maintenance. We have pilots. I'm the flight attendant representative, and we go over the aircraft that have been in a cabin air event the day prior usually, and talk about some troubleshooting to help with the maintenance end of this. And so the first thing I want to talk about is the Airbus versus the Boeing aircraft. And predominantly what we're seeing is it's happening on the Airbus. And I want to talk about why. And if you look on this slide, it's a little bit busy, but if you look on the left-hand side, the top left is the A320. And in that rectangle, that is the inlet that's at the bottom of the aircraft. And if you look below that, that's the 737 design, and that inlet and that rectangle is on the side of the aircraft. And if you go over to this other diagram, the issue here is the fact that the Airbus has placed that inlet on the bottom. So it's right in the right-hand side here in the blue area. If you look at the bottom right-hand picture, this one will help you. It basically tells you where the issue is. What you're looking at, where that yellow arrow is the inlet. You can't see it really well, but in front, behind that is actually the APU access door. And so that's where they're putting oil in. And so you can see the inlet there is actually air from the outside is coming in that inlet, and it's recirculating with the air in the cabin. So this is why flight attendants were all reporting, mostly on the Airbus, we're having these cabin air events. And so if we go to the next slide, I want to go over a little bit of the data that we're capturing. And so if you look on the left-hand side, this is what we're seeing. And if we whittle it down even more, you would see more. The blue section of that pie graph is the Airbus, and the orange part is Boeing. So we are seeing that we're getting these cabin air events that are in relation to oil ingestion on the Airbus predominantly. And we also, if you're on the right-hand side of that, the data on the right is the types of odors that you guys are reporting, and mostly dirty, musty. And I wanted to talk about why it's dirty, musty, because we just had a report come in yesterday, and it actually, they all reported different smells. But what they did was one flight attendant said, let's see, the number 2 said the galley smelled like mildew socks. The number 4 said it smelled of a strong, musty, moldy basement type smell. Number 3 said that it also smelled moldy and musty. And the reason why it sounds so strange that that would be an odor that you would smell is because it's the chemical reaction to oil mixing with humidity in the air, moisture, hot air, and that is the smell that you're going to get. So what we're seeing here also is it's happening at the gate. And the next slide I want to talk about is we're going to kind of mesh both of these graphs together. So most of the time you guys are noticing this at the gate. And the reason why is when you first get on, we all are flight attendants, we all get on, we're putting our bags away, we're checking our safety equipment, we're checking the ovens and the labs, we're doing all our pre-flight checks. And that aircraft has been sitting at the gate and it's had the air conditioning going. And so that air conditioning many times is run through the APU. And then earlier in that slide, you've got that APU access door. So if there's any oil residue, even on the aircraft, it's very easily can be sucked into that inlet into the cabin. So flight attendants are doing a really good job of reporting it, and they're doing a really good job of reporting it at the gate. Now, I want to say any unusual odors should be reported to the pilots right away. I just want to talk a little bit more about this particular one situation. So at the gate, we're getting a lot of dirty, musty odors. And as I said earlier, that's why. The second most popular time is descent. And that the reason why that is happening is also that chemical reaction. Usually in descent, you're going through clouds. You are, that's coming in through that inlet. So I want to talk about also mashing both of those together really quick. So at the gate, let's go through all the phases. So most of the time it's dirty, musty. Sometimes you'll get the burning plastic, electrical. At pushback, taxi, and you're also getting with those odors reports of fuel and exhaust. And the reason that is because a lot of times when we're taxiing, also it's a busy day, you know, you've got aircraft behind you and in front of you, you're waiting to taxi. So that exhaust smell is going to be from actually aircraft probably in front of you, behind you. And it's really important that you report that as well, because the pilots actually have procedure. If you were reporting that and you're saying, listen, you know, this is really strong, passengers are complaining, you know, they have procedures to space the aircraft out. So that would be something that would help prevent that from happening. And we're also coming into wintertime. And so you might be getting some de-icing fluid in that inlet. And I don't know if anybody smelled gosh, I thought it.
De-icing?
No, de-icing fluid is antifreeze. That's what I was thinking about. So antifreeze actually has a sweet smell. So that's something that we just got a report. A plane had just come from Colorado Springs yesterday and it had been de-iced. And actually it is snowing somewhere in this country and it is in Colorado right now. So all of those odors are really important to report immediately to the pilots. If it happens at the gate, flight attendants are really good about getting off the aircraft as soon as possible. They know that. They let the pilots know, gate agents know, get off the aircraft and get fresh air. Hopefully passengers haven't been on board. So that's the kind of information that I'm gathering and keeping all that gathered together and helping us to mitigate and find preventive measures. And let's go to the next slide. So the next slide is basically going over a little bit what Andrew already talked about. And so how to get more information on smoke odor fumes, cabin air quality. And so just like what Andrew had said, you go to safety and security, you go to resources, and then from there you go safety and security, then there's smoke odor fume, cabin air quality, and there's a lot of good information in there. There's a flow chart that actually walks you through what to do, medical information page that you can actually give to a doctor. Not every doctor is familiar with this, so that's really important to give them a report filing. There's a checklist that you can follow, a lot of good information. And finally, I really want to talk about two really quick pilots, what you need to tell the pilots, but I say it's what, when, why, where, how. So what you want to do is you want to tell them where it is. They want to know forward, aft, entire aircraft, in the galley, what it smells like, just as best that you can do at describing the smell. Why it's a concern to you is basically going to be, I'm feeling well, passengers are complaining, it's a strange smell, this is something I haven't smelled before, and I feel like it's important. And then when, what phase? And, you know, if it's at the gate or if it's taxiing, and then they want to know how long, and that's important also for maintenance. So all of this information is really important to go into the reports, pass that to pilots, and then you pass that to maintenance so that they can troubleshoot.
Well, this can be found in the IFM, these steps as well.
Exactly.
On how to report it. And, you know, when we find out from the company that an event has happened, we will send one of our proactive texts with our cabin air quality checklist. It also is available for you if you were to call the number that I was talking about earlier, the notification system, and pressing the prompt for mobile or fume event. That text message will automatically get sent to you with our checklist and the way you need to report it. But Rhonda has put a lot of information about cabin air quality on our website. It's a great resource. And if you have questions further about it, I would utilize those emails right there for contacting her.
And just like what Andrew and Madison said earlier, it's option 2 on the notification system. If you have an event, you can pull all of that information up. I am starting a committee, a cabin air quality committee. So if any of this interests you, you are interested in health and safety, please contact me and let me know. I need help. I mean, you know, we're gathering data. I fly full time and also do this. I love what I do. It's really important for flight attendants' health and safety. If this is something that would be of interest to you, please contact me or Safety and Security and they'll forward it to me. The information's there, rkurtwright@apfa.org, or you can email at cabinair@apfa.org. And what we're going to be doing is basically more data gathering, more research, more outreach, education, putting more stuff on our site, and following a lot of what's happening now with Airbus. Airbus has recognized that this is an issue. They actually are designing the new aircraft with the inlet on the top. They call it the Cobra. So that's super exciting that one day this won't be an issue. But there's sensors that they're working on and things like that that we really need to follow. And so please contact me.
Good. A lot of good work ahead. Thank you so much. A lot of information, good takeaways there. Again, utilize those resources and read up on cabin air quality. It is a long study, but I appreciate the work you do, Rhonda. Thank you so much. So we're going to move on to Cabin ASAP program, which will be presented by Patty Venables. She is part of our Cabin ASAP event review committee. She is the primary rep for that.
Hi, everyone. Like Andrew said, I'm Patty Venables. I'm based here in Dallas. I'm in my 30th year of flying, and yeah, I'm one of the reps on our that sits on our Cabin ASAP ERC, or Event Review Committee is what it's called. A little about the program. If you want to go to the next one, slide. What we do here is this is what it stands for. It's the cabin. Oh, sorry. Cabin ASAP. It stands for, in case you ever wondered, Aviation Safety Action Program. It is a voluntary program. It's a confidential program, and it's a non-punitive program. So that means you can say things, anything you want. No punitive action will happen to you when you're in the program. What kind of things do you report? I know when I'm out there all the time, I hear, oh, that's the, you know, get out of jail free card. That's the one to keep you out of trouble. That would be reactive reporting. Something happened. Now tell us why it happened. And we need details on it because we're collecting data. We're a database program. You know, if you weren't in your jump seat for taxi takeoff and landing, okay, tell us why. So we can track that and look for trends. But we're also a very good proactive safety reporting program, meaning some examples I use there. Do you have broken cards? Ever? Yes. Brakes aren't working? Yes. Overhead bins that aren't closing? Are you missing some of your emergency equipment? These kind of things are good to report to Cabin ASAP too, proactively, so we can have the data on it to report out, hey, we got this many reports on this. This is happening out there, and we can get it looked into. Now, next one, thanks. Just some data for you. As I keep saying, we're a database program. Just the numbers through October from this year, January through the end of October. Look at the number of proactive reporting. We've had some great stuff that we're looking into. due to the number of proactive reporting. And then we have the reactive reporting. Over on the other side of the screen, you'll see these are our top 5 topics that we've had come through ASAP year to date. So you can just see the amount of reports we're getting in that. And that's great because then we have the numbers to go, hey, this isn't working. This is some of the reasons why. Another thing I'm real excited about, if you want to go to the next one.
We're all excited about it.
Is the app. ASAP is getting an app on our EFB. Currently, you can get to Cabin ASAP through the flight service website, or you can go to crew portal to links and get down to it. But now you'll have an app. So you don't have to say, oh, when I get back to my layover, I'll support this or submit it and get all going. No, you can right there on the app. Take a picture of the broken items or the things you're seeing, and you can attach it right there on your report and send it all through your EFB. That's coming soon, so that's great. All the different ASAP programs at American Flight and other ones are getting the app too.
Ours will be here with us on December 1st. So we will have communications going out. I'm going to try to have them out next week and every week leading up to December 1st to get the word out there. But it will be on your EFB and it should streamline this process and make it easier.
A couple other airlines, Andrew and I were on a thing that got it, and their reports skyrocketed once they got the app because it was so easy. So hopefully that'll help us collect more data. Just a couple questions I wanted to go over that. This I receive a lot out there. Who sits on the Cabin ASAP Event Review Committee? It's an FAA program, and the FAA says they have to have one of their inspectors on it. So we have one in Cabin ASAP, we have one of our cabin inspectors. In flight, they have one of their flight inspectors. Tech Ops has one of their inspectors, etc. You have to have somebody from AA's cabin safety managers sit on it, and then you have to have a current APFA flight attendant that sits on it. You'll notice it's all comes from Safety FAA and APFA. No one from in-flight is a part of our event review committee. The only people who see the reports that you submit are those 3 people. No information from it goes out. We all sign non-disclosure agreements. We can't share anything with anybody. What do we do with these? Well, as I've been showing you all the numbers, we collect the data. We see the trends, what's happening, things like that. And then through the SMS meetings, the safety management system meetings, we report out what we're seeing. So then things can be tweaked, fixed, more education about it, things like that. And that's pretty much Cabin ASAP.
Thank you, Patty. I'm very excited for the app. I mean, because when you go to fill out an ASAP report now, you really do. It's best to do it on a computer. Not everyone has access to a computer anymore because everyone lives life on the phone. So this should make things easier, especially in terms of proactive reporting. You'd be able to quickly see when something just isn't right and is a safety concern for you on the aircraft. You take a picture of it, include it in a report, send it off, just easy like that. And hopefully that can help to create more change, so because ASAP doesn't fix the problem, but we are the vessel that carries the data to those who do fix the problem.
We collect all the information and we pass it on the data to the people who do fix the problem.
Exactly right. Okay, so let's move on to the baby. Our newest safety program, Cabin LOSA. So you're joined here by Tyler Fowler, our APFA Cabin LOSA program coordinator, Rachel McLeod, an observer and data cleaner for our APFA Cabin LOSA program, and Mehdi Bishri, who is the one of the program ambassadors, as well as the observer. I'll take it away.
Thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate it. This is an awesome opportunity. It's the first time since the launch of the Cabin LOSA program that we've gotten to have a conversation like this. And there's a lot of questions, and some people have seen LOSA observers out there doing observations, so we hope to kind of address some of those answers today during the town hall. First, just for those of you who've never heard of LOSA, so I know we live in a world of acronyms. There's so many of them, so we added another one to make it easier for you. It stands for Line Operation Safety Audit. It's a peer-to-peer observation program, so line qualified flight attendants will go on an aircraft and do an observation. It's voluntary, non-punitive, and confidential, just like the Cabin ASAP program. We actually like to call the program sister programs because we kind of have the same goal, but we're different in the way we do data collection. Once again, it is voluntary, so any member of the working crew can say no to an observation. We'll never force you to file an ASAP report. We'll never force you to participate in a LOSA observation. However, these are your peers that are going to be doing the observations. We're not management. We're not the FAA. The purpose of the LOSA is to observe the operation and the systems in which we work. So we're kind of looking at our current policy and procedure. I always like to tell people the true meaning of the word audit in LOSA is it's a self-reflection tool for our P&P. We want to see if what we're doing on the aircraft is actually working, if it's safe, and if it can be made better. And we do that through a form of an observation. A lot of the data we collect within LOSA observation is stuff that gets missed from like a cabin ASAP report. It's things that you may not have thought to report, but we're able to collect the data that way. One example that I really like to use whenever I kind of explain what the goal of this program is if, say, you know, for the pilots, you know, they have a LOSA program. If they identify that 80% of the time pilots are skipping step number 8 on a checklist, do we think that 80% of the pilots got together and decided we're going to skip this part, or do we think something's wrong with the checklist? More often than not, something's wrong with the checklist. So oftentimes it's not the person that's making a mistake or doing something that might deviate a little bit from SOP. That's a bad thing. It's the system in which they're working that can be the bad thing. So that's kind of what LOSA seeks to do. And we've got some really awesome things that have already been driving change from LOSA data. And I'm going to pass things along to Mehdi to kind of discuss some of those changes that we've made already.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Mehdi Bishri. I'm a Philadelphia-based flight attendant. I've been flying for about 5.5 years, and I've been with LOSA for about a year. One of the interesting success stories that we've had came from an observation, and actually specifically from a crew comment. So as part of the observations, the LOSA observer will get a chance to talk to the crew and really ask them if there's any safety-related concerns that they had. We had a particular flight attendant ask this during a LOSA observation, and the feedback they got was there's no way to clean up broken glass on the plane. And it happens. It's a reality of our job. Things break, and they were having to use safety cards or whatever they could to just clean those messes up. From that comment that was included in the LOSA report, it was then worked its way through all the different systems, and we're happy to say that we've come up with a solution. And starting in December, in the flight attendant service kit, we'll see the addition of a tidy broom, which is a small broom that can be used to clean up those messes. So a great example of how a LOSA observer being present on an aircraft and getting to talk to crew members has led to a change that I think will make all of our lives better. Another one that's a little bit different in how the data was gathered. So one of the goals of LOSA is to get as much data as we can. So we have multiple observers that go out there and do observations, you know, every month. In a lot of these observations, one of the things that was noticed was individual safety briefings with regards to wheelchair passengers. So it used to be, if you look at kind of the system as it was, anybody that had a wheelchair code technically should have been receiving an individual safety briefing per policies and procedures. Now that's everybody from the passenger that just requires a wheelchair in the terminal to the person who was in the aisle chair. And so oftentimes you would show up on the flight and have 20 wheelchair passengers, and per our policies and procedures, all 20 required an individual safety briefing. Through LOSA data, we were able to take a look at this trend, as well as really cross-check with the FAA what the required briefings were, and then bring that data to policies and procedures to get that change. We have seen that change, and in our IFM starting in September, that's no longer the case, and the individual safety briefings are only for specific passengers with disabilities. That's reflected in our new IFM. I'll give you one more. This one regards the 737. So on the 737, if you're in that forward galley, you've got a table that kind of comes out, and you can lock it in. It's got a little place to put bottles of wine. And during observations, as well as during crew commentary, we found that flight attendants were having issues where that table was not latching. And so through LOSA, we were able to get in touch with Tech Ops. And as it turns out, Tech Ops had essentially a procedure where, you know, there's a couple different tables, a couple different models, and they were installing essentially the wrong model on the particular aircraft. LOSA was able to have that conversation with them, and Tech Ops was able to switch that procedure. So going forward, as those aircrafts come in for the 3-month checks, the correct table should be making its way through the system. So these, and it's just been 1 year, and we're close to, I think, 500 observations, or we might have even eclipsed that. This is just an example of all these changes to policies and procedures that we're getting through LOSA. So hopefully we'll have many more, but already I think it's been a great success to see these changes happen.
I like to say it's very hard to make change happen in an airline as big as ours. So it might seem small. I don't know how many of you, I've done it many times where I've cleaned up broken glass with safety cards. That is very dangerous. So these might seem like small changes, but they are going to help us out. And it is pretty monumental that we were able to get just done done so quickly with how new
Absolutely.
this program is.
Yeah, and I think this is a kind of a, I really do want to extend my thanks to everyone who kind of has embraced us. You know, I mean, I've had a few people during observations be hesitant at first, but then we have a quick conversation. They're like, oh yes, absolutely, I'd love to participate. So if you're watching and you've had the chance to participate in a LOSA observation, thank you so much for getting involved with our, safety and safety management system. It really does make a difference. And that kind of leads me into one of our closing points is that this program has ushered in kind of a revitalized seat at the table of the safety management system for us. So, there's all kinds of different SMS meetings. I know Patty spoke briefly on those and how we take cabin ASAP data to those. Now we have a whole nother batch of data that we can go present at SMS meetings, and we get to go to those meetings. So I get to go to those meetings every single month. We sit around and pretty much hash out the details of like things that have happened, trends that we're seeing, and that's kind of how we discuss what changes need to be made. And it's been really fantastic because we've kind of reclaimed a seat at the table almost, and we have a lot more line flight attendant experience in the room. And Rachel actually was one of the first observers I got to take with me to one of the SMS meetings. Rachel, do you want to talk about it for just a moment?
Yeah, so as Tyler was saying, SMS is the safety management system that we operate under, and it's structured. We like to describe it as being structured as a ladder, and the first rung of this ladder is the flight attendants and all of the safety data that we collect. The data that we collect then goes to these various meetings and eventually climbs the ladder to the top rung of the decision makers at in-flight at American. And as Tyler said, I was able to attend one of these meetings that our safety data goes to. And it was really exciting being there because for so long, flight attendants have really just been wanting to be recognized as safety professionals. But we haven't had a lot of representation in the room. What the Cabin LOSA program really is a measure of work imagined versus how the work is done in the real world. And historically in these SMS meetings, there have been a lot of folks in the room who are experts in the work imagined part of that, the IFM, the policies, procedures, things like that. But now LOSA is allowing flight attendants into the room as the experts in the work done. We are really the experts of what's going on in the real world on the line. So it's exciting to have that voice. And also the pilot work group has had LOSA for 10 plus years and dispatchers have had it for 4 years. And now this is really our opportunity to have that level of participation in our own safety. We are safety professionals and we deserve to have these safety programs that other work groups have and to benefit from them. I obviously tell I'm really passionate about this program. I could talk about it all day, but I won't. I hope to
We're just
you guys on the line. Yeah, you're safe.
Well, it's
That's
just-
what keeps me out there.
One of my favorite things is like the crew comment part of the observation where the question is asked is what barriers out there on the line are preventing you from doing your job safely? Who else is asking that question? I don't believe management is. So I know you all are. And I think that is a great conversation to be having because we're safety professionals. Our input is so important. And I don't think we're getting heard enough. So this really is just that vessel, again, not only carrying data, but carrying our voices to the people that create the IFM training. They need to hear us. So thank you all. I really appreciate it. Okay, well, now it's time to hear from you, our members. It's time to get to questions. Now we have about 15 minutes left, so we're going to do the best we can to get to as many as we can. So everybody up on the questions now. Do you want to leave this part up here? Okay. All right. So I'm going to start with the first one. It looks like when the jet bridge is pulling away and when we should arm the door. It's saying about, how we would like that. We shouldn't have to wait until the PA is given from the number one, finishing that PA about, electronic devices being placed into the right mode for takeoff, et cetera, before arming the door. I believe that we shouldn't, when it comes to door arming and disarming, I wouldn't want to rush. And like I put a little note here that Patty, about for training wise in the procedure, it's like the waiting to arm doors after that announcement's made is for a reason. Because we don't want people arming doors at different times, disarming doors, because what if we have to go back to the gate or the jet bridge comes back? It's better to do it all in steps. And I believe that that's the intent behind the procedure. And unfortunately, inadvertent slide deployments are still an issue. And all of these changes in the IFM for procedures and how and why they're laid out. They are approved by the FAA, but they are done for a reason. And I would not want to, I want to make sure that the number one is seeing that jet bridge move away. They're making the announcement. And then when they tell us to arm doors and cross check, we're doing it at that time. Again, though, if you find that that is an issue for you and you believe there is a safety concern with it, you can file a cabin ASAP for that. So I have one here about loose life vests. And they say they continue to discover life vests that fell out of passenger seats stuck behind other equipment, leaving seats without life vests. How would we want to report that? So I'm going to put that over to Patty for cabin ASAP.
Well, because we did have this come through ASAP, and we were able to work with Tech Ops ASAP and with our data, and then they got it to the folks who put in an implement. I can't think of it on top of my head, but when I come to the checks now, the aircraft goes through their checks now. That is one of the items they're checking more frequently than they were to make sure, because sometimes when they fall out of the pouches and everything, they just get shoved in overhead bin when somebody finds them. So they're checking to make sure they're under the seats. And we had lots of data on it. So did with Tech Ops, and we passed it on, and that was what was implemented with that. So
It could still continue to happen.
Yeah,
I mean, it's because of cabin when they come on to clean, and we know they're cleaning quickly because of operational reliability, right? But they're, where they have that vacuum and they go under the seats, it is possible that life vests get knocked loose. So please continue to report those with cabin ASAP reports. We also, another one that would fall into the cabin ASAP realm would be, it looks like there's one departing with extra equipment. Again, if it looks like our pilots were reported to about this, but it is captain's authority at the end of the day. So they decide to still go with that equipment. That is up to them. But I believe that happens all too often. We have one here that I think would be good for cabin LOSA to answer. It's about the 250 plus miles being too short to perform a beverage service, which I completely agree with. I just think, those short flights, we are up too early and we are down too late. And, it's asking if there's any work being done to try to address that. So I'm going to turn that over to you, Tyler.
Yes, that's a fantastic question. It's actually one of the very first topics that we really wanted to look at whenever we started doing LOSA observations. Now that we're building a bigger data set and we're kind of getting more data on how this issue does affect flight attendant safety on the aircraft, we are definitely going to be looking at this relatively soon, I hope. It is a very big issue. We see a lot of standing up during taxi and a lot of, not seated when required, because those flights are just too short to do a full 321 beverage service. It's not safe. And we really do hope to use this LOSA data to kind of drive that change and usher in a safer practice for us flight attendants. So thank you for the question.
And another opportunity for cabin ASAP. I believe this is a safety concern, which I agree it is. We really should not be doing services on such shorter flights. We have a question here that is more for hotels. So we're going to take that and send it to the hotel department. I'm going to keep moving on here. One about Atlas galleys. We all love those. And I agree with the question, the person who wrote the question for sure. It says Atlas galleys are very dangerous. Why are we switching to them? Catering doesn't like them. We don't like them. We definitely don't. What is the reasoning behind having these galleys, and is there any way to change it? Fortunately, these galleys have been rolled out on our aircraft for quite some time now. But in order to address them as an issue, and especially those metal containers, those can become projectiles if they're not locked down correctly. It's another means for cabin ASAP reports there. For events like this, for safety concerns, we will, all of them, like we said, we won't be able to get to everybody because we are trying to keep this about an hour. But we will take these policies and procedures, but it is very incredibly important that you please report them accordingly, because in order to have an issue really taken a good look at, we need a data set. So I agree with you. Those galleys are not my favorite. I miss, especially when now that they're on wide bodies, I miss my old 777 galley. I hope they don't touch it. But when you work at 787, you definitely feel the change there. Now here's one about FARs that pertain to our job. Having been able to have a post go out with the exact verbiage of the 121s about cabin safety and compliance, and would be very helpful. Well, I believe we have that somewhere, don't we, Madison?
Yes, so we do get many emails regarding FARs, and that actually is listed on the APFA website. So if you go to resources and then safety and security and then scroll way down, you will find the FAR Quick Reference Guide, and this does have 3 different sections. The first section being pre-flight, boarding, and taxi out. The second one will be in-flight and service, and then the third will be landing, taxi-in, and post-flight. So those are nicely listed there for you to go over whenever you'd like to.
Yeah, really good resource there. I don't think many people know that we have the FAR Quick Reference Guide. It's good information to know. Take screenshots of it, save it on your computers, good stuff. Here's one that why do pilots not stay on the aircraft until all passengers have deplaned? One pilot should remain on board until passengers have deplaned and the flight attendants can step off the aircraft. I believe Tyler would be good to answer this question. He does a lot of work with flight and APA and has a better understanding about what their procedures are.
Yes, so I was able to contact one of our fleet captains about this issue. So it's not currently pilot SOP for them to stay in the aircraft until everyone's deplaned. There's one exception for that. If it is, say, the last flight of the night, they do have to wait for everyone to deplane to power down the aircraft. However, you do have tools that you can use to report this event to get it into the SMS so that it can be taken to a different level for consideration. That would be a good cabin ASAP report to fill out if you believe that is a safety concern. I do appreciate you bringing that to our attention too. That's a really unique situation.
Yeah, and one here about, thank you. I fly Caribbean turns in the summer. A lot of time we get aircraft with a broken APU. 2 medical emergencies. One, a lady was having an asthma attack. Like it led to a difficult situation. And that some of the islands use the aft entry door to board. It's caused the plane to get hotter. So the question is, how am I able to help these passengers when extreme heat during boarding is causing distress? So we do have guidelines for boarding a warm cabin, in the IFM. For situations like this where it's quickly escalating to a medical event, though, please immediately inform the flight deck. If that's something that we need to stop boarding to assess what's happening to those passengers, we need to do that as soon as possible. I know there's always that pressure to get out on time, but if, especially when it comes to hot cabin, that is like a pressure cooker, literally. Once something starts, once people are starting to, exhibit signs of heat, or heat exhaustion even, then that's just a matter of time as you add more passengers to a tight space. So please alert the flight deck as soon as possible and ensure that either we stop boarding and get the passengers medical care, or we might need to, use other means to cool the aircraft down until it's safe. And in that section of the IFM, you will find what our threshold currently is, and that is another issue that we are currently working to try to address. It is 90 degrees at this point, not something we want to see. We want it to go lower. Again, data for that. Please continue to report. Okay, so I have one that's 3 questions. It says, can we have a policies and procedures update, our EFB, to include the forward closet on the 737 as an approved shared storage area with pilots barring any ADA? Recent CCI addressing the needs clarity, excuse me. So I know that's become an issue now with pilots in the closet on the 737. Now it really does come down to the manufacturer. Boeing has said that that is the approved storage space, that forward closet for flight deck items. We do have in our station assignment chart where our approved storage space is. Please keep in mind that these were all FAA approved. I am currently trying to work policies and procedures. We've got a meeting on the calendar to talk about, can we just alleviate the language a little bit, that if there are no passengers with needs and assistant devices on board, can we share it? We don't need to stack it top to bottom. That would not be the correct way to do it. But, we can hang items in the closet on a hanger. I think it just needs a little bit more leverage in that wording that, if we're able to share it, we can. Let's say something to that.
I was just going to say, yeah, if you're running into issues, report it. We need these official reports. We need the data. Again, everyone's just kind of echoing that. Use your FAA reports, your cabin ASAP, and if there's a LOSA observer on board, or rather, if you agree to the observation, that'd be a great thing to share with them.
Another great vessel for data right there.
I would say too, yeah, for all these things that I feel like are reoccurring things that you observe when you work flights, part of what's great about LOSA is the LOSA observers are going to pick up on all of those trends just by the fact that we're observing. We have a certain amount of observations that we try to accomplish every month. So if there's something that is happening on every flight, by allowing LOSA observer on, that almost guarantees that data is going to be captured, because that's exactly what the LOSA observers are there to do, is to capture those trends and capture that data.
Thank you. yeah, we're gonna sound like broken records, but reporting is key, data is key to address these issues and actually have them really take a deep dive on, we gotta have the data.
Reporting through official channels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
I will tell
social
you,
media is great to go venting and things like that. It's a good place to find camaraderie and things like that. But, you know, if we really want to sway change our industry, it's through these official avenues, through these approved means of communications.
right, and as you know, we're the ones who monitor our inbox at safety. Anytime you do email about a safety concern, we will advise reporting. So, you know, we appreciate you bringing them to us. We can always, with your permission, we'll always ask your permission first. We will escalate them to the proper departments at the company, but we will always advise reporting. Reporting is key. So we're going to move on to another question here is, how close are we getting to a 16-month CQT to mirror other airlines? I think they might need 18-month.
Yeah.
I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
want to be.
something I can say this, it's something that, you know, is becoming an industry standard. Other airlines do it. And, you know, one thing that the training department is doing and through internal programs is data collection. Imagine that, right? But the FAA just needs more data on how our flight attendants perform in CQ in order to move that needle towards that eventual change. It's something that, you know, is being talked about. I'm not going to dig too far deep into that because, you know, it's just not, we're not there yet,
Yeah.
but it's something that, again, is becoming that industry standard. So at some point, you know, it's safe to say that very likely will become a standard.
Eventually. We're not there yet, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we are not there yet. So another question here. So we still have flight attendants leaving sidewall lights on during evening flights been not one of those before, which does not mirror outside conditions. Can the EFB or policy explain what total darkness really is for customer comfort? I agree. I think that is a space where they, again, could elaborate a little further what that is. The other side of that could be, you know, we do have as a required item of equipment a flashlight. So when you are going through the cabin and doing your compliance checks, that you should not be going through completely blind in darkness. And I do not ever want to see my number 3 or 4 vanish down the aisle and I can't even make out their figure. You know, we do this in a way that is safe, but I do understand the need for passenger comfort, as I've been one on a red-eye flight before, and it is kind of tough when those lights are bright for the whole flight. But
And you know, if you're working a flight, it's okay to communicate with your crew, right? And
Right.
so a lot of people feel like, oh, you know, they have like a certain position has control over certain lighting in the cabin, right? Just, you know, work together and make sure that you're addressing it, making sure everyone's comfortable. But safety is key, right? I mean, there's so many risks about keeping cabin dark, and we could talk all day about that. But if it's completely pitch black, you're missing a lot of what's going on.
And I will say, in a lot of those meetings where we talk about the first rung on the ladder and the data, they do discuss slip strips and falls a lot, and they do happen in the cabin at night on the dark flights. The red eyes, they are talking about different ways to utilize our required equipment with the flashlight. They have thrown around the idea of having like a belt loop light that clicks on. Qantas uses something similar to where it's on your person. And I know there are many of you that get very creative out there and kind of create this glowing thing on the cart, which I think that's awesome. We are so skilled flight attendants. We come up with the best invention. So this is something that is always being looked at because it does lead to this day to injuries.
Report it.
Report it. Okay. Another one that's leading to injuries, which is another question, is the overhead bin closing aid, a bin assist tool. I believe it says not functioning on any aircraft. Any resolution. This is something that has been discussed a lot again at those first rung data meetings. They are constantly addressing the why, and I believe it's 737 with that little click that should be assisting you in closing it. I'm sure it has to do with bags that are probably way too heavy and should be checked.
They're
Another
overweighted.
problem.
That is something LOSA is looking at right now also.
Yeah. But you know, this one to continue to write up because this is an area where we do see injury. People have shoulder injury due to the overhead bins. Here's one. This is a scenario. It's interesting. What is the procedure if a passenger loses, drops their phone in a motorized first class, business class seat? This is a very common problem. A mechanic mentioned that a passenger should not move their seat. A motorized seat could smash the lithium battery and cause a fire. This is true. And the question is, if a passenger seat is in the lying down sleeping position with the lost phone in the seat, and the flight is completely full and no seats to move passenger, does the seat stay down in the lying position for landing? What is the correct and safe procedure? I think this is kind of like it's like a good scenario. I'm sure that probably would get asked at training, but no, you can't stay in that lie flat position for landing. I think what would be best, and this is when I would definitely be calling the captain for advisement, because they can even phone down on the ground for the by the book answer. That's an option they have from dispatch. But I would turn the power off, and then I would locate the device, make sure it isn't at risk of being punctured, and manually, slowly bring it upright so that you can land safely. That's a good question. That's one of those difficult situations again, and please ensure that that gets reverted correctly. Here's one. I have written this up twice in flight attendant reports. Before we got the new main cabin wine in glass bottles, when someone ordered the sparkling wine, I never gave them the bottle. I poured it into a cup and placed the bottle on my cart. Now we are exclusively serving the red and white in glass bottles. We need to reevaluate this. You hand out multiple glass bottles, you have glass items that could be a potential security risk within the cabin. This needs to be readdressed. Okay. Well, I think we've seen before where catering items have later been found to be an issue. Again, flight attendant reports, but this is a safety concern as well. This would be another item as for ASAP. And, we will take this up to policies and procedures, but it looks like this needs to go to in-flight dining. Here's one for LOSA. What steps are taken to ensure LOSA observations and data are kept confidential? I think you could answer this one best.
Yes, I can take this one. This is my wheelhouse because I'm one of the cabin data cleaners that we have for LOSA. Myself and my team spend many hours ensuring that the data that we collect is all de-identified before it is passed outside of APFA. So the three cornerstones that Tyler mentioned earlier of LOSA is that it's voluntary, confidential, and anonymous. And anonymous means that we do not record any names, employee numbers, dates, flight numbers, or genders of any of the flight attendants that we record data on in our reports. All of the observers are trained specifically to keep their data de-identified, and then those reports are passed to the data cleaners where we go through them with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that they're anonymous. I've been doing the data cleaning for as long as we've had LOSA for about a year now, and I can honestly say that I've never seen a name or employee number or date or anything like that in the data sets that I receive, because our observers really focus on that. So you can be assured that's one of our main focuses in the program.
Thank you for bringing that up. All right, I'm gonna do two more questions. So it says, this one is about, and I see this happen too when I'm flying, about when the pilots throw the trash bag towards the GERT bar. That is an issue, and I could definitely see how that could be, it could cause an ISD. I wouldn't want to say report that because that could get somebody in trouble. So this is the one time today you're going to hear me say that, but we will take that to APA and have a discussion with them. Maybe just a good little FYI to bring awareness to, hey, be careful where you place that. Just ask us. We will throw it away for you. There are trash cans and we do create trash carts. There's plenty of space for it to be stowed properly. Okay, one final one. I believe it came up in the chat, a web-based training. Says, how are the modules completed? How is the completion time calculated? The times seem to be calculated incorrectly. A 30-minute module takes approximately 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Like the program developers, they give these times based on an individual who's just giving that course their undivided attention. At home when we're doing training, obviously a lot of us are going to have distractions, things like that could impact our time. And from each individual, some of us just, I'm a pretty slow reader, right? I need to sometimes reread things. So to your point, yeah, it is not as accurate as it probably could be. Best way to address that is once you've completed the online course, please fill out the survey.
Yeah.
Right. Rate that class. And then that also brings up something when you've completed your 2 days of CQ, really important to fill out that survey as well. Talk about your experience because they use that for the program changes that will be implemented for the And just really quickly, I think I might not have been clear enough when rescheduling within that 5-day window for your in-person training, the form doesn't work within that 5 days. You have to call the training support desk to get rescheduled. So I think I misspoke about that.
Thank you for clearing that up. Okay, we've gone over 1 hour and 7 minutes. So I thank you all for tuning in. This has been great. We've enjoyed it. I know this was a lot of information. I truly hope you took something away from it. We will respond to you individually for any questions that we didn't get back to during the town hall. There's still quite a few left. But if you have questions that you're just thinking of now that you'd like to ask us, please just send us an email at safety@apfa.org. We really do hope you enjoyed it, and we hope we get to see you again soon. 6 months from now in late spring, we hope to do another one. So again, thank you all so much. Thank you for those who pre-submitted questions, and we look forward to seeing you again, and please continue to fly safe. Take care.